right, welcome to episode 11 of the Breaking Balls podcast. Week 1 of the NFL is in the books, and Bubba Wallace won at Kansas. I may have to do this podcast alone because if you're watching the NFL, you may have seen the Titans lost in devastating fashion. I haven't heard from Bob since. He has joined the Zoom call, but we're going to see if we can't get him to join us, and I don't know. All right. Well, like I said, welcome to episode 11 of the Breaking Balls podcast. I'm Adam O'Shea. I am here. I have shown up. Bob, it seems as if you're on the Zoom call. Are you there? Are you alive? This is a wellness check. So, Bob, are you alive?
Hi, Adam. Hi, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I've had a couple text messages tonight asking if I'm okay, which really means something bad happened today. But we'll never forget today. It was a bad day for the Titans. It was a bad day for Bob. Bad day. But we're here. I guess we'll come on camera. If you're watching this on YouTube, the background is pretty fitting. It's the mood for us. But we'll show our face. Hi, Adam.
I'm just good. It's good to see you.
Yep.
I mean, worried was an understatement there for a while. We'll get to a little bit later. Don't want to spoil it, but why don't we start off on a little bit of a lighter foot for you? That way, we can hopefully ease you into the whole thing.
Yeah, there was a race today. Today, Adam. That's what, let's big picture. Let's not bury the lead. Congrats to Bubba Wallace. Big day in NASCAR, Kansas, playoff race. Football, who cares? We'll talk about that later. But a big day for Bubba Wallace and Kansas Speedway.
Yeah, big dub for Bubba. I don't think it was a shock to anybody by any means. Bubba's had a lot of speed in the last few weeks, but to watch him come around with that long run speed towards the end there and really make a show of it and kind of, go grab that 2-second lead at the end. And, I think if the race is a little longer, he's got his owner chasing him down and we see a very interesting situation. But, Bubba holds on for the win and really just a great race all around from the whole team.
Yeah, the team, the 45 team back in victory lane for the second time this year at Kansas. Different driver though, so it was good to see 2311 have success again this year. It's good for those younger teams to try, to get a foothold in the sport, to get success early on. Like you said, Denny was running him down. It was a Toyota race, it felt like, for the most part today. But 18 different winners now in 28 races, Adam? That's wild.
Yeah, just goes to show you with the first year, the new car, the parity is unbelievable. Still not letting them do a ton of customization. So it does make sense. You see, these are we have a lot of talented drivers in the sport, and this is just showcasing it. When the car is as similar as they are, you see these guys, their skills and the skills necessary to drive these cars are amplified. And this is why I think we're seeing so many different winners. And, even when you're not seeing guys win, you're noticing drivers who could have won the race. And one of them today was Chris Bell. Christopher Bell was running so strong all day. Really never seemed to drop out of the top 5 all day. Another really strong run for him. And he benefits from it. He's the only person locked into the playoffs at this point, Bob.
You said it, locked in going into the round of 12. When you're going into Bristol, that's a big wild card race. You don't want to be anywhere near the bottom line going into that race because you could be running as good as possible and, anything could collect you. Your day could be over with just the snap of a finger. So good for Chris Bell. Like you said, he was around the top all day. I texted you when I was watching the race. He was running really aggressive today. There was a couple times where he was racing hard. The incidents where they were 2 and 3 wide, really good racing moments. Chris Bell was in the middle of a lot of them, and you don't see him kind of like that a lot of times. You'll see him kind of wait and be cautious, pick his time, but he was urgent today. He knew he had a good car, you could tell.
Yeah, and just it's good to see finally a playoff driver with that sense of urgency. Just to know, hey, I've got the car to do it. to just kind of run towards the front all day and to collect points. And like I said, it really benefited him. A guy who really kind of struggled today, and not necessarily by his own doing, he got chastained, as the kids will call it. Kevin Harvick. Um, you know, it's crazy to think that Bubba went on to win the race after, semi being involved in that whole incident and and being able to get away with it from the whole thing. But Bob, I wanted to get your take on the whole Harvick Chastain Bubba Wallace incident. So you have the floor.
Yeah, it's just another week where Ross Chastain kind of racing aggressive. Just a run on the front stretch, collects Kevin Harvick, kind of sends him into the wall there after all three of those cars were together. I did hear this is the first time in Kevin Harvick's career he's had 3 straight DNFs going back to the regular season finale at Daytona. So if you're ever going to have a time to do that in your career, this is not the time at the beginning of the playoffs. So he's in a must-win spot going into Bristol already. The last 2 races though, where he's been DNFs, last week at Darlington, really wasn't his fault. That faulty kind of fire issue NASCAR had some
Something with the rocker box, or yeah, I don't.
they had to cover face a little this week. It was very interesting to see, but that happens to Harvick, and then this week just kind of gets collected, just being kind of wrong place, wrong time. You hate to see it for him because it's not really his fault. He's going to be do or die at Bristol, but it just kind of shows that a couple bad races here or there, no matter who you are, that could be it for you.
Yeah, and taking a look at the playoff standings, like we said, Christopher Bell's really the only one locked in right now, so he's punched his ticket into the round of 12. After that, we've got William Byron in second place, followed by Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, Alex Bowman.
Wait,
Chase.
Adam, did you say Alex Bowman and William Byron ahead of the other 2 Hendrick cars?
Well, hold on, we're getting there.
Whoa.
Chase Elliott in 7th place. 8th place, Kyle Larson, who ran well at Kansas, by the way.
There they are. Okay.
9, Ross Chastain. 10th place, we got Daniel Suarez, so the Trackhouse boys staying close together. And then on 11th, Tyler Reddick. 12th, Tyler Cindric. And then below the cut line, Kyle Busch, Austin Dillon, Chase Briscoe, and of course, Kevin Harvick, who has had no luck at these playoffs. Bob, I think the glaring observation is the one that you pointed out in the middle of the rundown there. So what do you make of William Byron and Alex Bowman sitting ahead of Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson right now in the playoff standings?
Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off there. It's just I didn't realize that they were actually above them. That's wow. That if you would have said that going into the playoffs after these 2 races, where Larson and Elliott aren't great at these 2 tracks, but they're not awful. That's shocking to see that, especially with Chase Elliott. They really have not been dialed in these first 2 races. What's up with the 9 team?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know. Hand up, I had Alex Bowman getting eliminated in the first round here. I mean, if you remember back to our preview episode, I didn't have high hopes for him, but it seems like they're really kind of pulling the team together for this last hurrah. The crew chief not retiring, but just leaving the sport at the end of the year. And then, like you said, Chase Elliott just hasn't been able to put anything remarkable together. Ran well towards the end of this race, but is really kicking himself, for how his car and how things are kind of going for him at the beginning of races. It'll be interesting to see with him finally going to Bristol, like he's been thinking about for a few weeks now, whether or not he can perform and get himself, firmly where we expect Chase Elliott to be as far as the playoff point goes.
Yeah. The other thing that jumps out to me real quick while we're looking at the bracket, the standings here, you see Ross Chastain in 9th, Daniel Suarez in 10th, the Trackhouse guys back-to-back. There's a big divide between 9th and 10th. 9th has a 26-point gap to the cutoff line, and then 10th, where Suarez is, has 6 points. So Suarez, Reddick, and Cindric all within 6 spots of getting eliminated. You look at who's 13th, who's the first guy out, Kyle Busch. I think an announcement's going to be coming on Tuesday. We hear a little birdie that he'll be moving on to a team maybe owned by Richard Childress. I don't know, but unconfirmed. Don't want to speculate here. Don't want to spread any gossip. But
you know what? Hold on, Bob. Let's speculate, because you and I actually had a pretty interesting conversation about this whole thing earlier in the week. So I figure, why not take it here? What if, and this is just me, everybody put your tinfoil hats on with me real quick. come on. Thank you. Welcome to the conspiracy circle. This is the meeting of two anon. Anyway, um, so I think that Kyle Busch may be driving the 3 car. And here's why. And I think I explained to you my theory in full, Bob. I think that the reason that Dale Jr. had the scoop on the whole thing and was seemingly drunk tweeting or let his daughter have his phone, as people alleged, all sorts of things. And there's a reason he had that information, and maybe it was to ask for his permission to drive the 3 car. Just a thought, nothing confirmed. I know nothing, but we can take our tinfoil hats off now. Bob, what do you think, man? Let's, now that we can speculate a little bit, because the announcement's coming on Tuesday. We're finally putting it all to bed. We may as well have this conversation one last time.
It's inevitable that he's going to RCR, it seems like. So yeah, we might as well just break it down real quick. Adam, if that's true, that's a really interesting way to look at it. I did not consider that until you brought that up to me, where, hey, why doesn't Dale Jr.? I know he obviously has a lot of connections still at RCR, but if he's going to go to the 3, the first person that's going to know that outside of Richard Childress, Austin Dillon, is probably Dale Jr., just because of the ties to the family. So would be something to watch for sure. I think that the other thing, obviously, is if Tyler Reddick just gets bought out a year early, because obviously Richard's grandson's in the 3. That would be an interesting Thanksgiving conversation
Can you
around.
imagine?
Oh man, after Phoenix, hey, so son, why don't you bring your Hans device in? It's not your time anymore. You're gonna be a sim driver with your brother Ty for the next year. But no, I think that the obvious slam dunk is Tyler Reddick gets bought out. But then the other thing is, well, what does 2311 do? Because are they going to take him a year early? Are they going to slide him into the 18? It seems like Ty Gibbs is already going to the 18. Is Denny going to buy another charter here? Are they going to have Kurt Busch retire early? Is this it for him?
It's sad because this entire time we've told ourselves, as soon as Kyle Busch makes his decision, all of a sudden everything falls into place. We have our answers. Everything kind of becomes crystal clear. And now that moment is coming on Tuesday, and everybody's kind of getting the feeling that nothing is going to be settled by this announcement. I think it's just going to get everything started. I'm just so excited to see where this whole thing shakes up. And I mean,
I did have an interesting theory brought to my attention from one of my friends that is more in the IndyCar scene too. He did say that he wouldn't be shocked if Kurt Busch maybe came back for 1 or 2 races at the end, kind of as like a curtain call here. And then here's an interesting thing, because Kurt Busch has done the Indy 500 before, goes to Indy part-time next year, just kind of, a couple races here and there. He's done open wheel before. And then, Tyler Reddick slides into the 25 or the 45, the 23, whatever they want to do with that, not sure. But something to maybe keep an eye out. Maybe this is it for Kurt Busch, which hate to see how he goes out on those terms, but hell of a career if so.
Yeah, 100%. I think that ends our Kyle Busch speculation, and we'll figure that out after Tuesday. Anything else from the Kansas race that's really pressing on you that you saw that you needed to say? For me, it was, hey man, Ricky Stenhouse.
Yeah.
Let's give him his flowers for a minute.
Yeah, great run for that team. It was good to see them running up front for a little bit. Some of those smaller teams like JTG, they need some exposure. They need to just get a little taste of the front. It's good for those teams, and maybe they can build off of that.
Yep, tastes good like Sunny D up there. So congrats on Ricky Stenhouse. But we're gonna move on to we buried the lead. We'll admit it, but we're gonna move on to Daddy now. And
do I have to go off camera?
No, you're gonna be okay. We're gonna do this. We're gonna talk to the NFL. We'll ease into it. We'll start with a team on the West Coast and a team that I know you don't care about. So really rainy one in Chicago today, Bob. Really, really rainy game in Chicago. The Bears got walked all over, and Trey Lance threw for 400. Oh, wait. Oh, no. The Bears won?
The
What?
Eberloss era is underway in Chicago, my friend. 14 straight in the fourth for the Bears. It looked like at halftime that the Niners were going to kind of just comfortably keep this game low scoring, but keep their control of the game. And then a couple ill-advised turnovers. Chicago had a couple explosive plays. Justin Fields kind of improvised here and there, and they did just enough to ride the momentum, use the weather to their advantage. I would probably have to guess. I know no George Kittle didn't help the Niners, but otherwise, full strength. I mean, credit to Chicago. They came out and they manned up. They played, they outplayed the Niners. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
No, they found a way to win. Obviously, conditions weren't good for either team, but yeah, Chicago really buckled down. Good win to start the season. My master plan begins to fall into place as Trey Lance is 0-1 as a
I was
starter.
thinking that in my head when I saw him throw the second pick
Hey,
in the fourth quarter. Like,
and you know what the best part is, Bob? Is I heard it in
man,
the media after the game. Somebody, I can't remember who it was. I think it was somebody on CBS Sports was like, "Oh well, Trey Lance, and they brought back Jimmy Garoppolo." I was like, "Yes, yes." I was like, "Oh man, here comes." And
if that actually happens, where they bring back Jimmy G to start and they still win the division, Adam, I want you to know this is your podcast. You get rights to everything. This is the legally binding contract right here. You've seen it.
you 100%.
We will delete this part of the clip if it actually happens. But no, Adam. I mean that it's something to watch for sure. Because if the Niners struggle again next week, there will definitely be whispers.
Oh no,
There's, there's
100%.
no matter how shush they are, there will be at least one or two people asking questions.
Yeah. Obviously, with football being back, I almost forgot how athletic Debo Samuel is. Just all the different ways they use him, Kyle Shanahan, so interesting. Yeah, just big takeaway from that game was really, really, really impressed by how the Bears hung in and found a way to win ugly. And that's what you have to do to win sometimes. And um, a game that was very, very ugly, but not a lot of good offensive line play. And kind of the only thing from my NFL preview that was right, that Steelers Bengals game, Bob, Joe Burrow took some punishment.
Man, I mean, that first half was one of the worst we've seen Joe Burrow in a long time. That Super Bowl hangover was real for them. Pittsburgh came out and just harassed him. That offensive line was turnstiles, and the secondary was clamping down. They were aggressive. They were ball hawks. I mean, there was, I think, one or two picks also called back because of penalties. So it could have been even worse for them. So the fact that they came back, battled back in the second half. I mean, Jamar Chase is a cheat code.
Oh,
There's a couple of young receivers in this league we'll talk about. I know Mr. Jefferson up north is pretty darn good too. But Jamar, I mean, him and Burrow together, that is virtually unstoppable. And they almost single-handedly came back and won that game.
yeah, they almost made me question everything that every football coach has ever told me about the offensive line being the most important part of any football team because they almost came back and won this game without an offensive line. Um, but also confirms my theory that defensive backs are worthless because there were two defensive linemen who had interceptions today. So at that point, if the D linemen are picking the ball off, then what's the point of having the skinny guys back there? What are they going to do? Steal somebody's towel? Anyway, the kickers towards the end of that game, nobody really wanted to win the game. They just kind of kept missing field goals until finally the Steelers kicker said, "All right, fine, I'll make it." And the Steelers end up winning the game 23-20. And an absolute snooze fest of an overtime.
I mean, obviously we'll talk about the Titans game later with the kicker, but I mean, there was so many kickers this weekend, Adam, that I know first weekend for some teams, second weekend in college football too. I know the BYU game on Saturday night, there was
Don't.
kicker shank fest too. We're all going through emotional trauma one way or another, my friend. Uh,
Fine.
but seriously, this was not a weekend for kicker apologists. Let's say any way you can shake it. Rough go around. And anybody that drafted Evan McPherson in your fantasy league, like fourth, fifth round, just because you saw his playoff run. Good job. Good job. Congratulations.
We're very proud of you. I think it's important to remember that, kickers may be fun to be around. They are enigmas. However, kickers are not people. And once you start treating them as such, they start to struggle. Um, look at Justin Tucker, for example. Justin Tucker's a machine. He just kicks field goals between uprights, and that's his life. That's all he does. He doesn't look like he gets joy from anything else. He has a family, but who cares? He just looks like he's placed on the field. He makes sure his hips are mobile, and he kicks the shit out of the ball through uprights. And once you see kickers get a little bit too much personality, that type of thing, they really start to struggle. Kickers aren't people. Today has proved that. That is my thesis. The end of the day, kickers aren't people.
Did Sebastian Janikowski a little too much personality, but just enough thickness to where it was a good blend, I guess?
Janikowski,
and he was a lefty.
really,
the lefty's got to account too.
The Bo Jackson of kickers.
Okay.
Truly.
Wow,
he had a little bit of everything.
That.
He had a little bit of everything. He really did.
Can we put that on a T-shirt? That's fantastic. I love that.
Hey, dude.
Bo Jackson
of kickers.
Honestly, that's like the best compliment you could get of anything. Like if I'm the Bo Jackson of salesmen, if I'm the Bo Jackson of like dog walkers, I'll take it. Like,
I mean, hey, speaking of dog walkers, how about Mike McDaniel taking his talents down to South Beach and just absolutely mollywopping the Patriots? That game wasn't even close, Bob.
The GOAT coach did it again.
Man.
My GOAT. Your King Belichick is dead. I mean, the Patriots, again, I said it in the football preview last week. The Patriots offense just can't move the ball consistently. There's no sex appeal there. I love using that term for the Patriots because there's nothing about Boston that really does it for me. But
Marky Mark?
Marky Mark.
You don't like Marky Mark?
I don't think even Marky Mark could make a movie that could save this team. Mike McDaniel, on the other hand, my friend, I mean, that team is going to be fun. That defense is strong. They've got some weapons. They got Tyreek involved early, the Waddle deep ball late to end the half. Got to clean up some things, obviously, but that's a team that, like I said, they are going to be on the heels of Buffalo, I think, all year, and they're going to be a dangerous team. They really are.
I was very skeptical of Tua's ability to stretch the field with Tyreek Hill, and to watch that offense work today against if there was a strength of that Patriots team, it is their secondary and their defense. And to watch them kind of struggle with what Mike McDaniel had drawn up and stuff like that, really promising if you're a Dolphins fan. Tua improves to 4-0 against the Patriots in his career as a starter, which I saw that stat for the first time today. And
yeah, sure, that makes sense, right?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It beats me.
There's just, like I said about the Patriots, there's just nothing about them that I can't see them moving the ball well. And for Bill Belichick, they're going to have to adapt at some point, right?
I just don't know if I don't know what the path is in New England. It's because it's not. They have talent to where they're going to win football games this year, and they're going to, they're not going to not be, I guess they will never be uncompetitive, but at some point you're just going to have to pull the plug. And I just don't know when that is. And I don't know how this is going to go for New England, but the fact that this is the first time that we're talking about this in my lifetime is remarkable. I just want to point that out. This is the first time we've ever had to actually sit down and ask ourselves, all right, what are the Patriots going to do next year? Like, what's going on? But I mean, I think it is time to have that very serious question.
Yeah.
What's going to happen? We'll see.
No, I agree. A team that I definitely think the window is wide open right now. Adam, your Eagles. The Big 12 offensive game of the week, the Philadelphia Eagles went down to Detroit, and had a 38-35 victory. Fly Eagles fly. Didn't cover. It was a damn shame. Sneaky backdoor for Dan Campbell's gritty football, man. But I mean, if you're a fan of offense, this was a game for you. But what were your thoughts?
I was scared that it was same old Eagles at the beginning of the game. But then I saw AJ Brown catch quick slant and just absolutely grown man a defensive back. And I was like, oh, okay, so we have a receiver now. We have some receivers now. Just to see that offense and you know, option football with all the RPO stuff now, obviously it's come a long way from running the triple option, but just to see option football work and to see a quarterback who can think the game so quickly. And, Jalen Hurts obviously is a very smart guy, has all the athletic tools. Just remarkable to see the offense work like it did today. Obviously, you don't necessarily want to get into a shootout with the Detroit Lions. Not promising for the long-term health of your team, especially if your defense can't stop Detroit. But as far as a week one goes, hopefully they go back, clean it up. But I don't know. I'm skeptical because I'm an Eagles fan and I always think we're going to suck. But we'll see. I'm excited. It was cool to see everything click today at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've got so many weapons around Jalen Hurts that to see them move the ball like they're supposed to has got to be good to see them meshing early on.
Bob, the thing is it's like you've got this sweet car, and it's like you've got all this chrome on the outside, like you got wheels on it, tires are beautiful, transmission, everything, and you just have no idea what is going on with the engine. It's an original engine, you bought it, and you turn the key and it's going, it's firing up, that type of thing, but you haven't opened it up yet. I think that's Jalen Hurts. I mean, they've got this toy, they've got this engine that everybody keeps telling you how much power it has and how it's going to be and that type of thing. And I'm just ready to see them let him go 100%. And it looks like we're headed there. And it looks like Nick Sirianni is getting more comfortable in play calling, which is another thing that I wanted to point out. He finally looks like he's kind of settling into that role. And I don't know. Things are looking up for the Eagles.
Just don't want Jalen to have to do too much. That's the one concern. Don't want him to have to do too much.
Yeah, 100%. But we'll see. I mean, as long as he stays healthy, it gets hit a ton. So, but tough cat. Really fun to watch today. Just like I said, overall health. You don't want to get into a shootout with the Detroit Lions.
Yeah. Speaking of tough cats, Adam, quarterback that hung in there today, Jameis Winston, going on the road down in the dirty South in Atlanta, eating a dub when it looked like the Saints were completely dead. Young Hoku had been kicking all over him. Marcus Mariota back, looked good. I will say, happy to see Marcus back, getting an opportunity. And this Falcons team that everyone kind of wrote off as going to be god awful, didn't lay down. Came out, looked like they were going to run away with it for a while, and then the Saints just clawed their way back. And Michael Thomas even had a resurgence. It felt like we were watching football from 2018.
Yeah, very shocking. Like you said, thought we were back in 2018. Jameis Winston was the talk of the town, and Michael Thomas was even catching footballs. All sorts of stuff going on. But I just want to talk about the Falcons really quickly because we kind of glossed over them a lot in our preview and things like that. But they are a team that is getting sneakily better. They do have a better offensive line this year. Marcus Mariota, welcome back to the NFL. Glad to see he's got another job. Just anxious to see. Obviously, they have Cordell Patterson still, and we'll just have to see how the whole thing goes for them. I'm just anxious. I don't know. They feel sneaky.
Yeah, like you said, Cordarrelle, they got Kyle Pitts, Drake London out of USC had a really good debut. Good to see him getting targets. I think he's just going to get better and better. He's a big physical guy. Kyle Pitts is a really great athletic matchup at the tight end spot. So, not a team that I don't think is going to make any playoff noise or anything, but wouldn't be surprised if they play a couple teams hard, and wouldn't be surprised they upset a couple people in the desert even.
Yeah, speaking of upset people though, Bob, how about Baker Mayfield? Wins the starting job there in Carolina. Plays a hell of a game, really kind of up till the end there, and then the Browns kicker breaks his heart. 26-24 final. I didn't watch a ton of this game. Kind of watched the highlights, things like that. But I don't know. Like I told you, I wanted to bet on Baker, but it
was a great story. It would have been a great story if Baker had won, especially like I said, we said on the football preview podcast, the Browns, kind of a scummy franchise at the time. They got a bad taste in their mouths just with the quarterback situation. But anyway, it just would have been cool to see Baker do it. But that game was weird in the fourth quarter. It felt like Cleveland was dominating, and then Carolina came back, went up the field goal late, and then you're like, okay, Carolina won. And then no, Cleveland drove down late with a minute so to go. A great drive from Jacoby Brissett, and ultimately, the Browns are just kind of treading water for those first 11 games until they get Deshaun back, and wins like this are going to keep them around.
Yeah, I mean 1-0 at the end of the day. That's they got 10 more games to go without Deshaun, and we'll see what happens when he comes back and how that whole thing goes. I guess we'll kind of glance over these two games. Ravens Jets, that went about as well as you would expect. Joe Flacco isn't elite anymore. Anything there, Bob?
No, I mean the Jets drove the ball down the field a couple of times. They just couldn't capitalize. The Ravens defense clamped down, and Joe Flacco was, old Joe Flacco was
Yeah,
not the Ravens Joe Flacco.
No, Joe Flacco made a tackle today, but that's all. The Joe Flacco revenge game did not go very well. Anyway, we'll transition. Jacksonville went on into Raljod and started jagging off and ended up losing a football game, 22-28. Good to see Terry McLaurin on the field. Like watching him play receiver, period. Had a big game. Like I said, this was one of those games I watched it through the red zone, but that's kind of.
I'm going to ask a question here, though, Adam, because I watched a couple plays too. Trevor Lawrence did not look that great.
No.
And he's been that guy that's been touted as the savior for that franchise. Was the king at Clemson, great in high school. When are we going to start asking questions about, is Trevor Lawrence not that great right now?
I had the thought when I was watching it, for sure, because like you, I mean, it's noticeable. It's definitely noticeable when you're watching them play that he seems to not be super comfortable. I think a lot of that will get blamed on his first year in the circus that was Urban Meyer, and that whole thing. But at the end of the day, he just doesn't look like he's quite there in the way that you would expect him to with all the reps that he got last year. Be anxious to see how he comes along, whether or not that's just kind of a week one jitters thing or what it was, but definitely something to keep an eye on. And like you, I think eventually you got to start asking the question.
Yeah, just something to consider because, like I said, there was a couple plays where he had some guys open in the end zone or downfield and clearly overthrew him or had missed reads. So, like I said, that guy that's been touted as the can't miss generational quarterback. At some point, you gotta start asking. I know this, like you said, that first year with Urban was a circus, so almost kind of fair to say this is his rookie year. But at what point do you kind of have to take the leash off?
Yeah, no, and I agree. I think he gets a couple more games, I think, but in the same way that I think Trey Lance's rumblings will begin, I think that's another media story that people are chomping at the bit to get at is Trevor Lawrence a bust? So transitioning into some of the afternoon games, Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers did ayahuasca together. And the Vikings won 23-7.
The Vikings are good.
The Vikings are good.
We talked about.
I don't think there was enough drugs in the world that could have saved Aaron Rodgers today, though. His offensive line was awful.
He missed Devontae Adams so bad.
Oh, yeah.
So bad.
Have you seen like just the graphic that they show of their starting receivers? Mm-hmm. It's hilarious.
Oh, did you see their yards compared to Devontae? Devontae had more today. It was impressive. No. Oh yes. Oh yes. No. Devontae Adams had more than the Packers receivers combined today. But on the other side of the coin, we talked about Jamar Chase, and I brought up a tease kind of how there's a lot of great young receivers in the league. Justin Jefferson is an absolute dog.
Oh.
There's ways to take him out of the game and scheme, but you've got to play it perfect. And if you don't have just a little bit of a gap on him, he's going to make you pay. And he did that multiple times today.
Just so good in space. Such a good route runner. I mean, just everything you need out of a wide receiver in today's modern NFL. He does everything right. And like you said, if you're not perfect with your scheme, he's going to make you pay for it. And so it seems Kirk Cousins good enough to get it done, good enough to put the ball on there. Really impressed by him in week one, just to, to see him go out there and outgun Aaron Rodgers like that. We mentioned, Aaron Rodgers wasn't necessarily at full strength with the offensive line, but you know, win's a win. They're 1-0, and
Big for
they're
divisional purposes.
100% big for divisional purposes. I mean, if you would, they would, they would do a lot of things to win that game. So very good on the Vikings to
Win at
come
home,
out.
your opener, big division rival. It's won the divisions X amount of years in a row. Just big for momentum with a new coach that, as you know, like I said last week, going to open up the playbook. Has a lot of weapons that they haven't used under Mike Zimmer in the past. So could be a new Vikings team. We both picked them to win the division, and great start, Adam. We might be geniuses.
Yeah, we may be geniuses, just like everybody else in the media who also picks the Vikings this year.
Yeah,
They're kind of a
yeah,
media darling, but
yeah,
it's hard not
yeah.
to be. They look good. I mean, they are one of those teams that, as you look on paper, they do look very good. So you touched on it, but Devontae Adams had a hell of a game. However, the Raiders ended up losing to the Chargers 24-19. Watched this game. Wow, Justin Herbert is a good quarterback. Just so impressed by Justin Herbert the whole game. Obviously, I think I mentioned it in the preview. Love watching Keenan Allen play. Had a good game today as well. But the Derek Carr Devontae Adams relationship is one that I think the NFL needs to be very, very worried about, because it did look good even in a losing effort.
No, he looked like he had been on that team for years. It looked like they'd picked up right from their Fresno days. It's going to be a fun connection to watch. Even if they're down, they always have a chance to move the ball because those guys are out there together. And like you said, Justin Herbert's so fun. Keenan Allen had a good start, then got hurt. I think it was a hamstring or something. So,
Yeah.
another year with a Keenan Allen hamstring injury. Here we go. But no Keenan Allen, no problem for Justin. They still move the ball well. He had all of his different weapons moving. And I think the Chargers are going to be a team to watch this year. You saw Khalil Mack have a couple plays. Just the guys that they added this year are so many impact players. It's hard not to see the Chargers moving forward and having so much success.
Yeah. My Chargers are LA's cousin that they would like to go home comment still stands, but the Chargers do look very good this year. So be anxious to see how they continue as the season goes on. Good to see if hopefully Keenan Allen can stay healthy, because he's big for that team. But
It was a
we'll see.
Chargers home game, but it didn't look like it though.
No, not quite. I think everybody knows that the Raiders are more home in LA than the Chargers will ever really will be. But
Yeah.
yeah, never a good look for when this happens to the Chargers, but it's never going to not happen. I mean, there's too many people in LA who identify with the Raiders and remember how much the Raiders meant when they were here. So there's a lot of it that will just stick with it. So,
Yeah.
Bob, I got to throw a hand up, dare I say. And, I like to think of myself as a man of faith. And I was wrong. I was very, very wrong about the Kansas City Chiefs. I thought Tyreek Hill being gone was going to really put them behind the eight ball, really kind of have to make them figure out their entire offensive scheme. And then they come out and they make the Arizona Cardinals look like a team of gentlemen who were all Kyler Murray's height and aged maybe 16, because they did not look good at all. And oh my gosh, that Chiefs offense looks like they are just reloading. They've completely shifted how they're playing. The pieces are different. They all have different skills, but the end result is still the same. It's remarkable, Bob.
Yep. Nope. Travis Kelsey still very, very good. 120 yards, a touchdown. Juju, big time in the offense. Mecole Hardman got an appearance in the end zone even. Clyde Edwards, touchdown. Patrick was getting everyone involved here. And like I said last week, it's going to make them play more fundamental football instead of relying on raw athletic talent without Tyreek Hill. So it's going to make them play differently, but it's going to make them better football players because they're going to have to scheme. They're going to have to go to individual talents that, like you said, there's different guys on that team that do different functions, but they're going to be able to use them in different ways. It's going to be fun to watch. And somebody definitely got Kyler Murray the early edition of Call of Duty because, I mean, what
Yikes.
the hell happened to that offense? They just that offensive line was a turnstile. Kansas City's defense was pretty good in the secondary, but they were putting so much pressure on Kyler Murray throughout the game that You know, just the Cardinals looked out of sync. They looked like they hadn't done any preseason work compared to the Chiefs, and I just maybe that's something the Chiefs were just motivated to show everyone we don't need Tyreek, but not a good start for Kyler and Cliff's after their max deal in the offseason.
No, yeah, just one of those things where you watch the game and it wasn't close ever. I mean, Arizona
Ever.
never, they looked outclassed the entire time. I mean, the Chiefs went up 14 to nothing early, and it was just like, okay, well, that's kind of it. Um, you didn't, I don't know, there was nothing spectacular about Kyler Murray. There was nothing about that offense that gave you any hope for the future. But I mean, that Chiefs offense is legitimately still so terrifying. Um, I know we're going to talk about Buffalo all year because that's where the hype is, but oh my goodness, that Chiefs offense is scary. Don't
Anytime
let me
that
forget about it.
Anytime Mahomes and Kelsey are together, they have a fighting shot.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Last game we haven't touched on, the snooze fest, 19-3. Tom Brady does what Tom Brady does.
He's
He beats the
back.
cat. Yeah, he beats the Cowboys. He's back. Uh, Not much else to say here, Bob, except for Tom Brady is 45 years old and still has one of the best. It looks, dude, his arm looks like he's 20.
Yep.
It's live. He's
It
zipping balls in. I mean, it's incredible.
He's got linemen dropping like flies. Chris Godwin gets hurt. His marriage is falling into shambles, but no problem for Tom Brady. The guy just seems to just find a way to have success. It's impressive. It really is. We've been saying this I'm 26 years old, pretty much my entire life.
Yeah.
Tom Brady finds a way to win.
I mean, there was only, I think, what, we're 5, 6 years old when Tom Brady got into the league. That's remarkable that he's just been this dominant for this long. And he really shows no signs of slowing down. Obviously, we saw them struggle with some of the pass rush that the Cowboys did provide. But, it seemed like Tom was doing a really good job of getting the ball out. Seems to know that he needs to be quicker with some of those interior line injuries that you talked about. But the Cowboys, I mean, I'm not going to lie and tell you that it doesn't make me happy to say it, but whew, they
Go
do
ahead,
not
Adam.
look. They don't look good, dude.
Adam, have you want
No,
to
they don't
say it.
look. Yeah, they don't look good, dude. Dak looks like shit.
Out a
Is
couple
he?
weeks now, apparently. I believe I just saw the report where it's
Yeah,
not.
some with his hand, I guess, right?
Yeah, not confirmed how long, but multiple weeks. So I noticed they've already taken that game off of the betting boards for next week against Cincinnati. If that's the case, Philadelphia might have just won the division already. It might be over
Dang.
already.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Washington want to know, but you never know. They could get streaky and everything. But
Take command.
yeah, take command by putting your logo on the state of Washington on a mug. Did you see that picture?
Ah, that was just the Washington Commanders football team. Just they every year they find a new way under Dan Snyder to just somehow have a goof. In week one, we already got one. It's a minor thing. It's not that big of a deal, but it's just so funny a franchise that's had so many inept moments has something like that somehow get through the cracks and is sold to the public.
Well, Bob, I think you may have just given me a good transition of a franchise that sometimes is inept in week one. At times will struggle to get off on the right foot as far as seasons go. We skipped one game in the afternoon slate. Um, the New York football giants took their talents south into Nashville, Tennessee, next to the Cumberland River into Nissan Stadium to open up against the Titans in week one. The Titans looked strong all game, and Ryan Tannehill looked as if he was going to lead the fellas to a victory until suddenly it all fell apart. However, there was hope. As the Giants scored and converted on the 2-point conversion, they kicked the ball back, and Ryan Tannehill threw an absolute dime to put the Titans into position. The Titans go and they make an absolute goofball move. They waste a timeout because Ryan Tannehill was picking his nose. And then they go run the ball to where the kicker specified he would like it for his little witchcraft kickery or whatever you'd like to call it. And they spike the ball and they bring the field goal kicker out. The kick is up. It's got the distance and it pushes to the left.
I'm gonna be sick. Adam, why did sports exist? Nothing but pain. Well, just go ahead. I would like to hear your thoughts on the game. Yep.
Ryan Tannehill is not the answer. That is my thought on the game. That is my week one overreaction is, oh my gosh, Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah.
What was that? There's a couple of things that, you know what, Bob, I don't want to spoil it.
It's okay. Just do it. Just do it.
Nope, have the floor, Bob. I insist. It's time. You need to let this go. Please.
I haven't given my thoughts to anyone. So this is going to be raw and filtered. It's going to be emotional. It's week one. If you're a new listener of the podcast, if you don't know who I am, if you're a friend of Adam, you don't know who I am. My name is Bob Perry, and I care too much about the Tennessee Titans. Okay? And every year in the offseason, I convince myself that the team has gotten better and they've taken the next step. And every year, whether it's week one, week two, they have a performance that's so bad, that's so embarrassing, they lay an egg on their face, that as a fan, you're just like, why do I keep coming back to this team? And we got it week one. Brian Daboll, shout out to him for going for it for two. Adam, that was, first-year coach, you got a young team who hasn't won a lot, but has a lot of, I want to say a high ceiling for sure. To do that right away when you had the momentum, that was an incredible play call.
I heard they were going to have to fly Brian Daboll's balls by themselves privately back to New York. Anyway,
yes.
Continue.
He got that from the Nick Saban coaching tree, 100%. Great play call. You got the ball to Saquon. Saquon looked great today. Titans rush defense was pretty good, but just had moments where they had big plays. And Saquon is his speed, Adam, is just fantastic. He's such an elite player when he's healthy. That's the key, when he's healthy. But looks like he's full go, my friend. I haven't seen him look that good since his Penn State days. He looked great. Any thoughts about the Giants real quick before I do it?
Just resilience. Really cool to see them kind of come around Brian Daboll like that. To really, for all the things the Titans did wrong, the Giants still had to do some things right to win that game, and credit to them for doing the things that they did right in order to win the football game. They showed up, they did what they had to do. It wasn't much, but they did what they had to do and won the football game. As far as the Titans go, there was a lot of questionable decisions in my opinion. There was a lot of things in this game that I am anxious to hear what a Tennessee Titans fan has to say about. So go ahead, Bob. What a rip.
There's so many moments in the game where I feel like they overthought it, especially on offense. The defensive line had pressure on Daniel Jones all game, whether it was Rashad Weaver. Jeffrey Simmons is probably the most underrated defensive player in the league. Nobody knows who he is. The kid is a stud. But, when it came down to it, it was the offense's inability to move the football. And a lot of the times it was because of the play calling. I'm going to be honest with you, Adam. There were moments, yes, Tannehill stares down his receivers a lot here. And, wasn't a lot of great separation in the second half, especially. Robert Woods disappeared. Traylon Burks, they stopped going to him. But when you got a 3rd and 1 at midfield to put the game away, and you've got Derrick Henry in the backfield, he's got 80 yards already. He's averaging 3-4 yards a carry. And you're going to run a tight end jet sweep to your 3rd string tight end, who's a blocking tight end, not even an athletic receiving tight end. The guy's got stone hand. He's basically a 3rd tackle. They run a tight end jet sweep to him on 3rd and 1. Taylor Lewan gets blown up, and the play just goes for dead. The Giants go down and score, take the lead. And then, like you said, the Titans move down. Great ball from Tannehill to Kyle Phillips to set them up
Oh,
into field goals. That ball was beautiful, Adam, wasn't it?
dime, dime, dime,
Oh,
dime, dime, dime. Perfect ball.
chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Then they set it up, and then they watch themselves basically celebrate it, and they have to waste that timeout with 18 seconds. Like that, coaching. That's on coaching.
That, honest to God, if I needed to summarize Ryan Tannehill's Tennessee Titans career in a sequence, it was that.
Yep.
It was throwing a dime and then not being able to organize the team to get them back to have to take that timeout to avoid a delay game penalty. It was poetic.
As soon as that happened, I'll be honest with you, I knew they weren't going to win that game because that's the Titan fan in me, where I just think it's all going to go wrong. But when a team comes out like that and they show that they have to scramble and they're not ready in that moment, it's a forecast for the future where the kicker is he's going to be rushed. Tannehill moved to the right, and they still had to spike it with 3 or 4 seconds left. It was so rushed. It was so frantic. Then they rushed the kicker out there. You can't win football games consistently like that. I don't care how well football coached you are. When you have mistakes like that at the end, the New York made them pay. I mean, they did.
Yep. Just one too many mistakes. Crazy to see Vrabel get out coached like that. I don't know. I don't think this is. I think this is going to be a wake up call that this Titans team needs. But at the end of the day, you can't be encouraged by what they put on the field today at all. It looked awful.
Offensively, it did. Defense looked great. Great for the most part. I mean, yeah, like I said, Saquon made him pay a couple times. That's a guy just being a good player, in my opinion.
That's going to happen. I mean, it's, at the end of the day, there's professionals on the other side of the ball. You're going to lose a couple downs here and there. But
if that's going to be your offense, though, and that's going to be how you operate the whole game, AFC South's a dumpster fire, so who's to say? But, I mean, man, it's not great. It just, for someone who I was so looking forward to football coming back, you had week 1 for football, NFL week 2 for college. The Titans laid an egg. It just embarrassed themselves toward the end after dominating the first half. Mizzou just shit themselves against Kansas State. Tennessee came back against a depleted Pitt team. None of my bets hit. Adam, I am a sad man. You can see, if you're watching the YouTube right now, I've changed my name. I am disappointed football fan. It was a tough weekend.
Yeah, not the best weekend. I guess, a lot of people may point out post-show in the comments, that type of thing. Oh, hey, Adam, Bob, you didn't go over the Colts-Texans games. And to that, we say we don't recap ties.
That game didn't happen. That game
didn't happen.
Literally did not happen. It wouldn't have mattered if that game got played, as far as we could.
It doesn't matter. I mean, at that point, you tied Matt Ryan as a shell, and that's really all you need to know. That's kind of it. Oh, Davis Mills' deck is very large. And, yeah, O.J. Howard exists.
O.J. Howard on the Texans. Yep.
Yeah, that's what's one thing that I learned was O.J. Howard exists. Oh, hey, by the way, Greg Zuerlein is kicking for the Jets. That is something you need to know. Greg Zuerlein is kicking for the Jets. I didn't realize that until today. Earlier, I think there's a lot of people.
Didn't put that game on Red Zone a lot. I'll be quite honest. They did not.
Yeah, the game that Red Zone forgot. Just one of those days. Just one of those days. Speaking of Limp Bizkit, why don't we head a day backwards? Go on into Saturday. How about Alabama, Texas, Bob?
What a game. What a game. I mean, that is exactly what you want. A great scene in Austin. 2 blue bloods, Texas trying to come back under a new coach. Sark under, the old regime. He knows that Bama program just as good as anyone, especially recently. Couple controversial calls that everyone can debate back and forth, but some great playmaking. And then, you get your star quarterback, Bryce Young, having that Heisman moment again right away. That's what college football is all about, Adam, right there. That game right there.
Yeah, 100%. An absolute scorcher on the turf. I think it was something like 120.
Texas heat, baby. Ain't nothing to joke about.
That's miserable. But, Alabama did just about everything they could to lose this game. and still found a way to win it.
They
Will
deserve to
Anderson,
lose.
yeah, they deserve to lose 100%. They just got plays from their big players that they needed. Will Anderson, that sack to get Texas out of field goal range was, kind of got overshadowed by Bryce Young's performance in the last drive, but that was the play of the game. I mean, they were people forget they were in field goal range. They were going to kick a field goal, go up, and Bama was going to need a touchdown, and that play from Will Anderson was incredible. And then Bryce Young, just an incredible play to get out of that sack. More bad tackling by the defensive back, not to break down there.
If he makes that play, this game is so different. It's so different.
It's over. It's basically over there. There's no guarantees, but I mean, all the momentum is on their side. And I mean, that ended up being a 30-yard chunk play. I mean, just, ice in their veins. They've just been there before. It was so very clear that the Alabama guys had been in that situation before. They were ready for it. Even when they were playing terribly, they were able to pull it out. So credits to Nick Saban. That's such a well-coached football team, man. That's incredible.
Well coached for sure, but I will say, and we both texted each other this during the game, that Texas line on both sides of the ball did not shudder away from that Bama front.
Nope.
They were grown men themselves that day.
Yep.
Curious to see if they can keep that consistency up all year, but they came to play. They answered the bell for sure.
Yeah, way too many penalties. Really, I think the most penalties for a Nick Saban team in his tenure at Alabama. So definitely going to clean that up moving forward. But still remarkable to see them win that game when everything went wrong for Alabama. They still found a way to beat Texas.
Everything.
Yeah, just not a good day to be not a good day to be Texas.
No.
But I think a game we talked briefly about, South Carolina, Arkansas. No surprises that Arkansas went in there and, at home pounded the rock, and South Carolina won. Arkansas won. Good to see South Carolina compete in that game, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you catch that one?
I got to see some highlights of it. It was on in the background, kind of. Just because there were so many good games on it, the early slate.
So much.
Spencer Rattler moved the ball pretty well. South Carolina came back toward the end, but Arkansas just, they're a tough team to beat. They've got a lot of veteran players. Sam Pittman gets those guys riled up at home, and Fayetteville, the land of the Walmart, is hog central, my friend. Yep. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Woo-hoo, pig. All right now. So real quick, Penn State beat Ohio 46-10. Vandy lost to Wake Forest. Wake Forest is ranked 19th. Ohio State takes care of business against Arkansas State. Miami takes care of Southern Miss. Final score there is 30-7. NC State wins their game. Who cares? How about the Tennessee-Pittsburgh game, Bob? That went into overtime. That was a fun one to watch. What do you think about that?
That was a back-and-forth game for sure. A good afternoon window. It looked like that Pitt was going to run away early there for a minute, and then Tennessee battles back. Pitt, their quarterbacks all just took a beating that game. They were getting murdered back there. Didn't look like whether it was Pitt's skill guys or Pitt's quarterbacks, nobody was going to be left for them by the end of the game on the D-line, on the receivers. But they found a way to spend it to overtime, and credit for Tennessee. They went on the road against a very good defensive Pitt team, well coached with Pat Narduzzi. And they all you can do on a road game like that is survive.
That's all you can do. That's exactly what was going to be my point. Just shout out to Tennessee for going up there and surviving, winning the game, finding a way to win at the end there in overtime. Just finding a way to win. Speaking of a team, the shot heard around the world of the weekend, App State. Seems like they're due for an upset once every decade or so, but they've got it this year. They beat Texas A&M 17-14, went into College Station, took the bag, and kicked their ass. What'd you think, Bob?
Michigan fans, congrats. It's not you this time. The App State Mountaineers got them again. Jimbo Fisher, that A&M team had so much hype this offseason. Controversial headlines. They're John. They've got all these 5-star talents coming in. And then, this perennial team like App State, who, if I was running a program at them, I would never, ever schedule App State, because no matter if they're going to win or lose, they're going to play you hard. They're going to play you very well. They're a scrappy, well-coached team, great program. And, They went in there, low scoring game, and they made plays when they needed to. They controlled the clock. That's how you beat a team like that. You got to have a couple plays go your way.
Yeah, and I mean the time of possession numbers were insane at the end of the game. I don't have them off the top of my head, but I remember absolutely my jaw hitting the floor when I heard them. But credit to Appalachian State. This is why we love college football. Is that on any given Saturday, these two teams line up and something crazy can happen. Because at the end of the day, it's a bunch of teenagers out there just playing a game and seeing what happens. Big shout out to Georgia for getting the in and out shutout. Michigan State also gets an in and out shutout. So Akron and Samford were on the losing ends of those two in and out shutouts. Next game that where Adam was right. Kentucky takes care of Florida 26-16. I had this game. I picked it. This was one of the picks that I finally got right. But an interesting game for Kentucky to go into the swamp and steal one from Big Brother a little bit. What do you think, Bob?
Yeah, it does not happen much. We said on the podcast last week where I think it's been one or two times in the last 30 years they've won in the swamp. So big for Kentucky. Mark Stoops running a heck of a program down there. Florida probably a little overhyped after the Utah win. I think that's probably safe to say. Probably a little bit of a come down too. But still, Will Levis and Kentucky going in on the road and beating a Florida team like that, that's a very good team. That's a hard team to beat. They're, maybe not going to be a playoff team or beat Georgia or anybody like that, but, anybody else, Kentucky's very good. They got a quarterback, a good coach. That's all you need in college football now.
Yeah, love seeing what Kentucky is building. I think there was fun off-season banter. It wasn't so much fun for the people involved, but fun from an outsider's perspective, talk about whether or not Kentucky's a football or a basketball school, and I think that's hilarious. But I think the next game that we move on to, we got to talk about USC took their talents up to Palo Alto, ended up beating Stanford down, slayed the boogeyman. They've often gone up there and haven't necessarily performed up to their best, but USC's really looking like the top dogs in the Pac-12 right now, Bob. Heck of a game at Stanford. What do you think? I mean, this USC team's got so much talent.
This was kind of the litmus test, the first real test to see kind of where USC stands in the Pac-12, and they went in there, and as far as I'm concerned, they handled that test with flying colors. I think they're the class of the Pac-12 without a doubt. You saw Oregon and Utah not handle their out-of-conference games already. They got beat. I think USC's got too much talent. They've got the quarterback, Jordan Addison, at receiver, basically a brand new defense with all these transfers coming in. Probably not going to be a championship team. I think at some point or another they'll have a little depth, or those first year growing pains are still going to hit them. Everything's new. Everything is new. That talent's going to hide a lot of problems, and that's the thing in college. If you got talent, you can win a lot of times. But when they run into major teams like a Bama or Georgia, I don't think they're going to have that next level yet. They're a couple years away. But as far as the Pac-12, I think they're still miles ahead of what everyone already is at.
Yeah, and as far as USC goes, if you look at their schedule, I mean, I just don't think they're going to have the strength of schedule, even if they were to run the table, to really get in. Because let's face facts, one of the wins that they bank on to be one of their stronger wins lost to fucking Marshall.
I was going to bring it up, but you brought up your own trauma, my friend. Good for you. Let's sit down and let's talk about this, because we got mine out of the way. Adam, Notre Dame, 8th ranked Notre Dame at one point. Marcus Freeman, the 0-2 era. What's up?
Well, like you said, for those of you who are Bob's friends, my name's Adam O'Shea. I'm white, I'm Irish, and I'm Catholic, so I've been a Notre Dame fan since forever. It just kind of came out of the womb, and
he came out watching happened. Rudy.
Yeah, I came out watching Rudy. It was incredible.
Had a lisp like Lou Holtz and everything.
Yeah, we had to make sure the hospital was facing the Golden Dome, something weird like that.
The hospital.
Anyway, I told a group of friends on Saturday that I was considering leaving the church. I asked why, with all of the money that I give to the church every year, why we can't ensure that Notre Dame is a little bit better. I asked a lot of questions, a lot of questions. None of them I meant, but I was in a bad place. I was not happy after, there was something about watching Marshall, the pick six. I mean,
Yeah, that Notre Dame offense. You gave them a pass week one with Ohio State just because obviously it's Ohio State. That talent
they
is just
hung
incredible.
in.
But I'm talking about the
How do you
offense.
fall? But
Just the offense.
How do you fall into a trap game after you're 0-1?
At home
You're
too, your home opener, new coach. It's a tough look for a program that has been on the rise the last couple of years. They made the playoffs a couple times. They've been in Year 6 bowls. They need that next step. They finally got rid of Brian Kelly. They have a young coach.
I haven't
just
felt that.
man,
I haven't felt this low since the Kyle Whittingham days. I need my Charlie Rice. I need my Charlie Weiss to ride in on a carriage and save me.
that's going to be a heavy duty carriage. That's a Ford Super Duty carriage.
That's a dually carriage.
I mean, man, it's tough for Marcus because Brian Kelly had such a good tenure there, and to come right in, the players loved him. The student managers may not have loved Brian Kelly, but the players sure did. It just, I don't know. It's a tough start for Marcus Freeman, Adam. It really is.
Oh no!
I get
Let
one
me
bad.
tell you about my family.
I get one rough joke a podcast that's dark but historically tough, and there's your
Accurate.
one. We got Waco last one. There's your Notre Dame student athlete.
Oh, I'm
joke.
just glad that of all the historic jokes you could make on this date, that was the one you chose. So thank you, Bob. Appreciate that.
Amen.
Amen.
But yeah, Notre Dame, Adam. I mean, any thoughts, just real quick? Any ramblings or any just rants, real quick, that you just like to get off your chest?
No, I think I got it for now. I mean, eventually Marcus Freeman will win a game. I hope.
The new commentary on the Notre Dame game was not very good.
No, he was not.
And I'm not a big Mike Tirico guy, but Mike Tirico is a good second color or play-by-play guy. It's perfect for Notre Dame.
Yeah, Mike Tirico was the perfect Italian guy to call Notre Dame games. Just a nice, strong Italian presence in the press box to make sure that things were run smoothly. But here we are.
No, it was good to see a nice Italian man on Sunday Night Football now with Mike Tirico.
Speaking of disappointing acts by Christians, Baylor went into BYU, went into Old Provo. Robert Griffin III was commentating this game.
Oh.
He was an absolute wild man the entire time, just making all sorts of jokes. I mean, I believe he said that at one point the kicker was atoning for something. I mean, oh my God.
Dude, RG3 it was late night for RG3 in Provo, and he was letting them fly. Everything that they did, he was just hating on. He was criticizing. He was saying, "What the hell are they doing?"
Music.
If they ran left, he said, "Oh, they were gonna run right. Like they should have run right." Like it was a perfect scene for the late cap on college football. That was the best thing ever.
I mean, you could tell, past the third quarter, he didn't want to be calling that game anymore, not one lick, and he just started making jokes, and it was hilarious.
And can we be honest? I don't think anyone in that game, anybody watching, I don't think anybody really wanted that game to keep going, but it got to the point where it was so ridiculous. It was 1:30 Central Time, and we had gotten, I think, our third or fourth missed kick in a row, to the point where our hands are up just going, what the hell's next? Let's just see what's going to happen. I'm already up. I've got Monza in 6 hours. Let's just ride. Come on.
Yeah, hand up. I mean, I was riding Big Cats game of the year, the over in that game. And on top of that, Adam had a lovely 4-leg parlay that USC minus 8.5 hit. Alabama to win, but both teams not to score over 20 points hit. Kentucky money line against Florida hit. And then I had Baylor money line.
Let me tell you.
And the Baylor Bears ran the ball 8 consecutive times and didn't even fucking try.
Adam, watching that from my perspective of yours, where if Baylor scores a touchdown on that 4th down and goal, not only do they cover your parlay, they hit your over. I don't mean to like put all your trauma out there, but since this is a really traumatic episode for both of us.
We're hurt.
Just the sequence of events right there. Again, it is 1:30 in the morning my time. We've had over 12 hours, 13, 14 hours of sports. And to have it come down to kickers and missed kicks and Provo and weird ass 4th and goals, and it just double overtime. It just, I love sports. I hate it. I love sports. I hate it too. God, I hate it. I hate them.
God, I hate sports, but I could not live without them. I mean,
What do people do
just
for fun that don't watch
if
this?
you don't watch football, I don't know.
Crack? Like, I don't know.
I
Like,
don't know. I mean, I guess that's how people get into hard
NPR?
drugs.
Like, NPR would not do that for me on a Friday night.
C-SPAN? Maybe they watch C-SPAN. Losers.
I would vote nay on that.
People who don't watch football probably use Bing as their primary search engine. Like,
But no, Adam, that was the perfect cherry on top for college football. Like, that was a great matchup, 2 good teams. And I texted you this, that BYU coach, Kalani Sitake, is there a better figurehead, a better ambassador? When you think of BYU football, that's the mental image right there, Kalani Sitake.
Yeah, I mean, Kalani Sitake at BYU, almost as synonymous with the job as June Jones was at Hawaii for a long time, to where you just looked at the job and you're just like, all right, that guy belongs there. And, good to see that they were able to have success. Of course, it was at my expense this week, but, good, like you said, it does make sense for him. He does look like just a big Polynesian guy in front of BYU like that. It just makes sense. It just fits. Just chef's kiss for casting.
Any other just general thoughts from the Saturday slate of college football? It was jam packed. I know we always say week 2 is not sexy on paper, but it always produces, and I definitely think it produced this time around.
Yeah, a lot of production, a lot of good games, a lot of interesting things. We had upsets, we had all sorts of things at week 2. So we're starting to sort it out. We're starting to see who's going to contend, who's going to stick around, and who's going to be here long term, and who's going to fall off. And that's college football. We're excited to see it. Bob, there is one pressing issue that I think it's in the NFL, and we accidentally glossed over it, so I'll bring us back. But as we step into the new season here, the NFL has a new official pizza sponsor, and no longer are we with Pizza Hut, but Little Caesars has taken over as the primary pizza sponsor for the NFL. I just wanted to get your thoughts on it.
I missed that.
Well, baby. Maybe you got to pay attention to the things that matter. I mean, we run a podcast. I mean, we host a football podcast, for Christ's sakes. You're just going to ignore the news? You're going to bury the lead?
Somebody out pizzaed the Hut. Damn it. Little Caesar did it.
Little Caesars did it. They pizza their way all the way until they out pizza the Hut. Those bastards.
Adam, were you a Little Caesars guy? Like, can you throw down a hot and ready pizza? Or are you above that?
I
out
don't
in California,
think,
you sunshine piece of shit.
I don't think you attended college unless you've sat in your car and single-handedly ate a $5 sweaty and ready pizza alone before a class.
Sweaty and ready. I've never heard that one before.
You've never had it. It's a $5 sweaty and ready. Just sweaty and ready, just sitting in the oven waiting for you, a little condensation just cuz. Oh, absolutely.
I don't like that. For the record. I'm uncomfortable. You may not. I don't want to be here.
You may not. I mean, really? I mean, you're going to say Little Caesars pizza? Calling any Little Caesars pizza is going to make you uncomfortable? You eat Papa John's.
Yeah, I stand by the Papa. My day of reckoning is Papa John's. If I'm going through it and I need just like, I'm a piece of shit meal, like a little greasy pizza, Papa John's is always there and consistent.
So, did you get some Papa tonight?
I did. I sure did, actually. Yes, I needed to eat my feelings after a rough weekend. I'm debating on calling out of work tomorrow. It's that bad.
Oh no!
If you're listening, Adele, I'm not. But
yeah.
I just need a day to kind of recover my spirit.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, to see that you're standing in all that moisture while you're recording the podcast, I can only imagine you're going to catch a cold. It looks like you could be sick.
Those are tears that stayed on the window.
Yes. Little did anybody know that the reason for the tears on Taylor Swift's guitar, the teardrops that are on her guitar, were the Tennessee Titans just being that fucking terrible.
Oh, I'm speechless. I am speechless. My co-host has just put a knife right in my back, and then when I turned around to try and pull it out, he gave me a nice uppercut right in the chest. And I'm wobbly right now. I can't stand on my own 2 feet. I'm
Well,
hurt, dog. Don't ask me if I'm all right.
If I'm all right.
Hurt.
I'm hurt. Oh no. Anything else, Bob? You got anything before we wrap this thing up? Put a bow on this podcast?
I mean, Adam, we're about an hour in. Would you like to tell me to go fuck myself or just anything real quick? I mean,
just really quickly, since we're doing this, obviously.
I mean, if we're getting it out there, this hour's been good for us, I think, as sports fans, because like we both said, we had a long weekend.
No, I needed this.
I think we needed this. We both had a lot of trauma to unpack here.
No, yeah, we definitely needed this. And the sad part is that I know more is coming.
It's only week 1 or week 2, depending on what you're talking about.
It's week 2 for college football. Week 1. I mean, the NASCAR playoffs. I mean,
that's going to be Bristol with a cutoff race. We'll talk about that on Thursday, but. I mean, there's going to be some hurt feelings there for sure. What if Kevin Harvick comes out and wins? I mean, oh, God. It's just...
I mean, that's the plan.
Yeah.
Hey, did you hear the interview with Tyler Reddick when his tire blew up? His tire ended up blowing up when he was going down the back straight. And whoever was interviewing him, I can't remember her name.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, though.
And she literally goes and she's like, so did you hit the wall before that tire blew? And Tyler
Come on. He goes...
Come on. Like, what are you talking about?
He wanted to be like, are you fucking kidding me?
That was awesome. I think it was hilarious. It needs to be a meme. That shit was so funny.
It was a candid moment for Tyler Reddick.
Yeah, just
it was usually so sweet. It was like, really?
He was like, really? He's like, why would you say that? All right. Well, Bob, I think that about wraps it up for the Breaking Balls podcast support meeting. That was episode 10.
Yeah, we're 10 in.
Yeah, we're 10 in. Yeah, I guess honestly, we should address it, but we have, we got a little bit of a birdie. I guess analytics told us that we've got 50 unique listeners. I
don't know who y'all are, but congrats. You're on a journey with us.
Yeah, welcome to the welcome to the bus. We don't really know where we're going yet, but just sit down. We'll figure it out. And yeah, I think, we got over 100 views on the last YouTube episode. So thank you guys for that. Obviously, thank you guys so much for the support. Keep comment, subscribe, anything you can, share it. Tell a friend, whatever you want to do. I mean, we appreciate it. We're going to do it regardless. We love shooting the shit. We're just going to hang out here and talk sports. And we love that you guys are sticking around to hang out with us. So we appreciate you.
Yeah. So, if you have thoughts, whether you like my opinions, whether you hate Adam's opinions or vice versa, please let us know. We love feedback. So comment, put in our Instagram and our Twitter. If you have a different opinion, let us know. We would love to see
by all means, I would love to tell you to go fuck yourself. It would make my day.
It's really not the first time he'll do it, and it won't be the last. So trust me, he gets off on it.
Happen. No, it's going to happen.
Yeah,
it will happen.
By all means, we will take any kind of opinions. But other than that, episode 10 of Breaking Balls, we made it through this traumatic experience together, Adam,